Okay, so what if everything you think is solid? Right? History, science, your own life. What if it's all just like a stage set and one little discovery could just knock it all down? Imagine secrets so big they could just rip reality apart. All right, let's dive in. Today we are going deep on what we're calling world-altering secrets. And these aren't just, hidden facts. They're catalysts, things that force us to completely rebuild how we see everything. Our mission really is to dissect information so powerful its release wouldn't just add a detail, it would mean building a new world on the ashes of the old one. Yeah, and what's so fascinating is how these secrets hit every single cornerstone of, well, human understanding. We're going to navigate three pretty treacherous landscapes today. First, you've got institutional betrayal, governments hiding truth, messing with minds. Second, the edge of science, right? Revelations about consciousness, evolution, stuff that could redefine reality itself. And finally, the echoes of where we came from, challenging the big stories about human history, our place in the universe. And look, this isn't about chasing wild conspiracy theories. It's a serious look at knowledge that holds, frankly, some latent destructive power.
We start with the really raw stuff, state secrets, programs so disturbing they just obliterate any idea that governments always play by ethical rules. This is where that social contract just gets shredded. Let's talk about Project MKUltra. I mean, the absolute depravity there. This was the CIA's illegal human experiment program. Ran for almost 20 years. Explicitly designed for brainwashing, psychological torture. They were chasing mind control, using massive doses of LSD on unsuspecting American and Canadian citizens, hypnosis, electroshock, sensory deprivation, even verbal and sexual abuse. Just horrific stuff. They were even trying to make like a reliable knockout pill.
And here's where it gets really, really chilling for me. The institutional malice. It wasn't just the experiments, as awful as they were. It was the deliberate, systematic destruction of the records. CIA Director Richard Helms orders all MKUltra files destroyed in 1973. That's not just a cover-up. It's like epistemic violence, right? Creating a permanent black hole in history. We know it was monstrous, but we can never really know the full extent. And that engineered uncertainty. That eats away at trust far more than any specific detail could.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? You read about internal objections, CIA officers raising moral flags, and they were noted down basically as obstacles, not stop signs, just impediments. It shows this terrifying weakness in the system, where national security just tramples basic human decency. It wasn't just a few bad apples. It points to systems built to protect these profoundly unethical projects.
We count on a free press, right? The whole fourth estate holding power accountable. It's fundamental. But what if sometimes that watchdog was secretly on a leash?
Well, that's exactly what the allegations around Operation Mockingbird suggest, a huge clandestine CIA program to manipulate the media, supposedly recruiting hundreds of top American journalists. Now, the Church Committee in '76 did confirm about 50 journalists had secret CIA ties. One journalist claimed it was over 400.
But there's a key ambiguity there, isn't there? A wrinkle. Because we also have the officially acknowledged Project Mockingbird, which was a wiretapping operation. It feels almost like a classic limited hangout, reveal something smaller, less damaging, to kind of muddy the waters and discredit the bigger, much scarier allegation about mass media control.
Stepping back, if you look at the bigger picture, the legacy of Mockingbird, even just the allegation, it poisons the historical well, retroactively. It suggests the whole Cold War story we were told might have been, well, a curated product. If the people reporting the news, the arbiters of truth, can be secretly on the government payroll, then the whole basis of an informed public just crumbles. Our collective memory of the 20th century. Could it be partly fabricated? As a disturbing thought?
Yeah. Okay, out of all the state secrets, this one, man, it's just a gut punch. The Tuskegee study, a 40-year study, right? Sanctioned by the U.S. Public Health Service. They didn't just neglect hundreds of poor African-American men with syphilis, they actively denied them treatment. Penicillin was available, all just to watch the disease progress naturally. They told them they had bad blood, gave them incentives like free meals, burial insurance, while leaving them to die horribly.
And what's really striking, tragically so, is how the revelation itself caused more harm. There's quantitative research, solid data, linking the 1972 disclosure directly to a measurable spike in medical mistrust among black men. It led to a significant drop in life expectancy, up to 1.4 years for black men at age 45. So the act of telling the truth, which was absolutely necessary for justice, it unintentionally sparked this new lethal health crisis. It's just a terrible irony.
It forces you to think about the insidious nature of it. For 4 decades, you had these two completely opposite realities running side by side. For the victims, a special government health program. For the researchers, A non-therapeutic experiment where treatment was deliberately withheld. The institution itself weaponized trust. So the takeaway for us, for you listening, it demands this permanent, critical skepticism, especially when powerful institutions make promises to vulnerable groups.
And beyond these specific, nightmares, the U.S. government actually built a whole formal legal structure for secrets so deep their very existence is denied. Unacknowledged Special Access Programs, USAPs, colloquially black projects. Funding is hidden, congressional oversight is threadbare, and some, the waived SAPs, are exempt even from those minimal reporting rules. It's a legal black box inside the government.
All right, let's break that down. This basically sets up a state within a state, a shadow government. It's got its own bugging, its own tech, its own goals, operating completely outside public view. The world-altering secret here isn't one specific project, it's the system itself. This is the master key, isn't it? To the government's deepest vaults, designed for stuff like maybe recovered non-human tech, confirmed contact,
Right.
physics-defying weapons, who knows?
Exactly. And if you put that in the bigger context, the single revelation that would change everything. Instantly. It wouldn't be one program. It would be the full public release of all USAPs, past and present, for real purposes. That would force an immediate rewrite of our entire understanding of technology, geopolitics, maybe even our place in the universe. The USAP system, that's the government's ultimate secret keeper. The concealment mechanism itself is more profound than any single thing it hides.
Okay, shifting gears now. We move from human betrayal to, well, the fabric of reality itself. Here, the secrets aren't about what governments did, but maybe what breakthroughs about nature are hidden, or what fundamental truths we're just starting to glimpse.
Right, and you get these persistent, really compelling stories about revolutionary tech, clean energy, miracle cancer cures, invented, proven, and then actively suppressed by the big players, right? Fossil fuels, big pharma, Nikola Tesla's free wireless energy, his death ray. They're central myths here. And the idea of big pharma hiding a universal cancer cure, even though scientifically cancer isn't just one disease.
You can totally see why those stories grab people, can't you? Imagine a genuinely limitless clean energy source being revealed tomorrow. It would be the biggest economic geopolitical upheaval in history, period. Obliterate the energy market, solve climate change and resource wars. The sheer scale of that potential change. That's why the suppression idea is so damn compelling.
And an important point here is how these narratives often act like a modern mythology, a secular salvation story. They offer simple, neat solutions to incredibly messy problems, and they give you clear villains. But it forces a really critical question. Is it always active suppression by some shadowy group? Or is it possible that our dominant economic system, capitalism itself, is just structurally biased against developing and deploying tech that prioritizes universal good over profit? In that light, maybe the system is the suppressor.
Then there's the ultimate unknown inside us, consciousness. If science actually cracked the hard problem, how physical stuff, neurons firing, leads to subjective feeling, experience, that would trigger a revolution bigger than Copernicus, Darwin, Einstein all put together.
Well, integrated information theory, IIT, is a really radical proposal trying to do just that. It suggests consciousness isn't just something that pops out of complexity, an emergent thing, but it's a fundamental intrinsic property of any system that has integrated information. And they even try to quantify it with a value, efficacy. If that's true, it implies a kind of panpsychism. Consciousness is everywhere in varying degrees. In your brain, sure, but maybe even in a proton.
Wow. Okay, a measurable phi score. What are the implications there? I mean, the really profound ones, maybe even the disturbing ones. How does that change things?
That's the million-dollar question, right? It could completely overhaul how we treat animals, for starters. Redefine life and death. But here's where it gets, well, potentially pretty damn unsettling. The potential for a new kind of social hierarchy. If you can quantify consciousness, could a low phi score be used to justify discrimination? Dehumanization, that's a hell of a thought, a really ugly one.
Which kind of points to this deep split within science itself, doesn't it? IIT starts with consciousness, works backwards. Critics often just dismiss it as pseudoscience. What does that fight tell us about whether our current science is even equipped to handle this question?
Precisely. The hidden secret revealed by this conflict might be that the hard problem isn't solvable with our current tools, not because we lack data, but because our whole scientific paradigm, our way of looking at reality, might be ontologically fundamentally unsuited for it. A real theory of consciousness might need a revolution in the philosophy of science first.
Okay, next up. For more than a century, biology class taught us your life experiences. They don't change what you pass on to your kids, use it or lose it, but it doesn't get inherited. But then comes epigenetics, just blowing their whole dogma wide open. revealing this secret hidden right there on our DNA, the inheritance of acquired characteristics. It's actually real.
Yeah, epigenetics shows us these heritable changes in how genes function, but without changing the actual DNA code itself. Things in the environment, diet, stress, toxins, can leave these epigenetic marks. And the crucial part, some of them can get passed down transgenerationally. It provides a real scientific basis for Lamarck's old idea, the one that got him ridiculed. Your life can leave a biological imprint on your children.
Okay, let's unpack that. Beyond just like speeding up evolution, what's the personal impact? For you listening, how might our ancestors' lives, their traumas, their food, where they lived, be literally written into our biology more directly than we ever thought?
It's pretty profound when you think about it. It suggests a biological pathway for intergenerational trauma. You know, the old saying, sins of the father, well, maybe more accurately, the hardships of the father or mother, can literally be visited on the kids at a molecular level. And what's really fascinating here isn't just that it can happen, but that life seems to have evolved with this incredibly complex filtering system to decide which marks are worth passing on. Most marks get erased, reset, that's critical. But the exceptions, things like genomic imprinting, they show this really sophisticated information management, biological computing almost. Understanding the logic of that system, how it decides what parts of our life story get passed to the next chapter, that would be a monumental discovery.
And then we get to the ultimate secrets, the ultimate origins of life itself and maybe reality itself. Are we unique or just, a downstream effect?
Well, panspermia offers one idea. Life didn't start here on Earth, it was seeded from space. Meteorites, comets, it implies we're all part of this vast universal biological web, sharing ancient cosmic ancestors with whatever else might be out there.
And then there's the really mind-bending one, the simulation hypothesis. It's not really a claim that we are in a simulation, more a logical argument. It says one of three things has to be true. One, civilizations like ours almost always go extinct before they can run simulations of their ancestors. Two, if they survive, they just lose interest in running those simulations for some reason. Or three, we are almost certainly living in a computer simulation right now. It means everything, physics, history, our thoughts, it's all a construct, a program.
Looking at the big picture, both these ideas, panspermia and simulation, they kind of outsource our origin story, don't they? They push the ultimate how did it all begin question back to some prior external reality. They suggest humanity isn't primary, we're secondary derivative. And the real kicker with the simulation argument is its logical structure. To deny we're in a sim, you basically have to bet on either our almost certain extinction or that our super advanced descendants will inexplicably become completely incurious about their own past. It's like an intellectual pincer move. It uses our own optimism about the future against us.
Okay, final leg of our journey. We're heading into secrets that hit our foundational stories. History, religion, our place in the cosmos. These aren't just tweaks around the edges, they threaten to rewrite fundamental chapters.
Take UFOs now, UAPs. For 75 years, right, it was this cultural battleground. Fascination versus official denial, stonewalling. But the U.S. government's stance has done a seismic shift. From denial, think at Project BLE book, the Roswell weather balloon excuse, which became Project Mojili later, to secret studies like ATEP and those stunning Navy videos, FLAIR, Gimbal, Go Fast, to now this carefully managed institutionalized disclosure. We have AR, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, formal reporting, even a dedicated archive at the National Archives.
And this is where it gets really interesting strategically. The shift isn't just admitting, okay, something's out there. It's a masterclass in rhetorical framing. The conversation has shifted from are they aliens to are they a national security threat? That makes it okay for officials to talk about it, legitimizes it. But, crucially, it also gives them a perfect reason for continued secrecy. Because military capabilities, those are legitimately classified.
Yeah, the key observation for me is the sheer bureaucratization of the mystery. Formal channels, a permanent office, archives. This isn't how you treat a fad, or swamp gas, or misidentified planes. The secret revealed by all this institutional machinery is that at the highest levels, they no longer see UAPs as a mystery to solve and then dismiss. They see it as a permanent condition, something that has to be managed indefinitely.
Now think about the biblical canon. For so many, the bedrock of Western civilization. Presented for centuries as stable, divinely ordained, then boom, two discoveries mid-20th century just rip open this hidden history. Suppressed texts, wildly diverse beliefs.
First, the Nag Hammadi Library, founded Egypt in 1945. Over 50 Gnostic texts, including the only complete Gospel of Thomas. And this offers a radically different Jesus, not a unique savior figure, but more like a spiritual guide, emphasizing self-knowledge, direct access to the divine. The kingdom of God is within you and outside of you. Very different feel.
And at almost the same time, starting 1947, the Dead Sea Scrolls turn up near Qumran, a massive library of ancient Hebrew manuscripts, an unbelievable window into the melting pot of Second Temple Judaism, the very world Christianity emerged from. They showed that tons of concepts we thought were unique to the New Testament, they were already floating around, part of the Jewish conversation back then.
So, zooming out, what these discoveries really show is that the Christianity and Judaism we inherited, they're just the winners.
Yeah.
The surviving brands from this incredibly vibrant, contentious marketplace of ancient ideas. There wasn't one single pure original truth that got handed down perfectly. The biblical canon, it was the result of a struggle. A history shaped by what was chosen, yes, but maybe more importantly, by what was actively excluded, erased.
So how does this land for you personally? It kind of culturally reopens the canon, doesn't it? Challenges that idea of historical finality. That path in the Gospel of Thomas, it's so individualistic, inner enlightenment, doesn't seem to need priests or big institutions. It reveals that the foundation of a major world religion was shaped just as much by power struggles and control as by debates over ideas. That's a pretty damning insight into how history, especially sacred history, gets written by the victors.
Then you have these impossible monuments.
Yeah.
Our view of history tends to be linear, right? Primitive, then less primitive than us, advanced. But structures like the Great Pyramid at Giza or Stonehenge, they just defy that easy narrative. They hold secrets in their stones that really challenge our assumptions about what ancient people could do. How do the Egyptians quarry, move, and lift 2.3 million stone blocks, some weighing 15 tons, up to 450 feet? With that kind of mind-boggling precision, all without wheels or iron tools, supposedly.
And Stonehenge. We knew the smaller blue stones came 140 miles from Wales, which is already impressive. But then a 2024 analysis confirms the big Ultra stone, 6 tons. It came from northeastern Scotland. That's 435 miles away. That wasn't a local community project. Moving that rock required immense resources, incredible planning, and peaceful cooperation across basically the entire island of Britain.
Yeah, and what's truly fascinating here, I think, is that the real secret might not be aliens or lost super tech, although who knows. But it might just be the profound, deeply underestimated organizational skill, logistics, social sophistication of these ancient cultures. The evidence points to a world back then that was far more connected, more cooperative, more capable than the stereotype we often have. Stonehenge, especially that Ultra stone discovery, it really starts to look like a unifying national monument, built to bring different peoples together.
And just to build on that, the fact that we're still finding things inside the Great Pyramid, using 21st century tech like muography to find hidden chambers, it proves the secrets of the ancient world aren't all buried and done with. Our understanding evolves as our own tech evolves. So what does that mean? It means the past isn't this static, closed book. It's interactive. It reveals more as our ability to read it gets better. The past isn't dead. It's actually a dynamic field, still full of discoveries. So we've covered a lot of ground. Unsettling state deceptions, reality-bending science, probe the deep origins of our past. What becomes crystal clear is that our consensus reality, that comfortable story we tell ourselves about how the world works, it's not solid ground at all. It's fragile, provisional, constantly being challenged by what's been hidden by power or lost to time or just not yet figured out by science.
Yeah, connecting it all. Maybe the biggest world-altering secret isn't any one specific thing. Maybe it's just the stark realization that our foundation is thin. It's a veil. And to live today really is to live with that profound, unsettling knowledge that one single devastating revelation could just tear that veil away at any moment.
So knowing that the architecture of reality is built on, well, such shifting sands, what responsibility do you feel to seek out these uncomfortable truths? And maybe more importantly, how would you react if that fragile veil did suddenly rip open, exposing everything underneath, something to chew on?